I think basically every type of SaaS will be rebuilt with some AI first option.
Yeah, it's either they need to disrupt themselves and rebuild their own products, or somebody else is going to disrupt them.
Like AI agents will be everywhere. Literally any boring task, any repetitive task that can be systematized into steps will be done by AI agents. It's like, oh, I'm not going to build this project. I'm not going to start this business. AGI will do that in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you just going to sit around? Like, you should not waste your time just waiting for AGI like a ass, because someone who is willing to learn it, is willing to get their hands dirty, will completely destroy you. You don't need a novel idea. That's the crazy thing. People think like you need to, invent electricity. Like, you don't need to have a novel idea to build a startup to like 10 to 20K a month. All you need is literally...
Hey, David. Welcome to the podcast. For those who don't know, David is one of the top voices in AI on YouTube. And I want to start this off from perhaps the biggest announcement of 2024, which is the OpenAI O3 model. It literally performs better than most PhDs on math, science, and coding benchmarks. So what do you think the impact of such powerful technology will be in 2025?
So first off, thank you for having me. I would say actually the biggest thing I took away from that O3 video is not necessarily the model itself, it's the rate of improvement, right? So the model is literally, as you said, smarter than PhD students or PhD graduates. And in the coding competitions, it was like better than 99.95% of programmers. So it's clear that this is, a huge step up, even from O1 models. And it's coming only 3.5 months after O1 was announced. So it's not like crazy to think that O4 might be coming in another 3 months. And I think this is what people are missing. It's like the rate of improvement has noticeably sped up again.
Yeah, so it took OpenAI like 6 months to release Sora. Why do you think they're releasing O1 like 3 months later?
There could be many reasons, maybe like pressure from investors. They're losing billions of dollars, so they need to like appear strong, right?
Competition?
Yeah, also increased competition like Anthropic, DeepSeek, XAI is about to release Grok 3. So could be many reasons, but I think it's just like they have it and they want to show dominance. They've been dominant in the field for the past 7 years or something. So
how close do you think O3 model is to AGI?
I think it's the closest thing we have, definitely. And again, depends on the definition of AGI, right? Some people think it's already AGI. Maybe if you ask some people 10 years ago, they would definitely say O3 is AGI. But if we say like OpenAI is a system that can do most economically viable labor.
And also generate $100 billion.
Well, that's what I mean. Like they changed the definition.
That's a new definition.
Yeah, that's the new definition. So they keep changing it. Even look at like 2-3 years ago, people would consider it AGI, but they keep moving the goalpost. And I think a big reason for that is the Microsoft clause.
Right. So how are you going to leverage this technology? Like, are you going to primarily use it for your own personal tasks? Do you have any ideas on like how exactly it can be applied? Because the impact from these models, it comes from applying them. It doesn't come just from developing those models. So can you give me like a use case where you personally think you're going to be using this model?
Actually, I think I'm going to be using O3 Mini more, because right now, even though I'm paying for the $200 a month plan for a ChatGPT Pro, I'm still not really using O1 Promo as much as, for example, Claude. And the reason is that it takes like 3 or 4 minutes to answer a simple question. Even a super simple question takes like 40 seconds. It's not productive, So I think O3 Mini will be actually more impactful than O3, even though obviously O3 will be better and I'll still be using it. For example, when I encounter like a deep error, there's a cool AI tool called Repo Prompt that you load in your entire code base and it copies all the files and then you send that into O1 Pro mode and it can give you a much better answer. So with O3, that will just be on steroids. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to definitely keep paying for ChatGPT Pro, because when they release it, it will be in the $200 subscription. Maybe O3 Mini will be in the $20 a month, but definitely not on the free plan. And the second thing I'll do, I'll take O3 Mini and integrate it into my startup.
Right. So can you tell me more about your startup?
Yeah, so it's called Vectal AI, and it's basically the future of productivity. It's a task management app with built-in AI agents. So right now, it has 2 AI agents, a sorting agent and a chat agent. The chat agent can, resort your list, change multiple tasks, rename tasks, help you execute them. Right now, I'm implementing a new feature called Focus Mode, where you can select one task and you can really focus on it with like DeepSeek agents that just break it down to steps with like Perplexity API, web search, and basically anything you need to complete that task.
How did you arrive to this idea?
Basically solving my own problem. So before I was using Todoist, and there's nothing against Todoist, it's still like a great company, super simple tool, but the issue is not AI first, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very creative. So any day I have between 10 to 40 different tasks, ideas, reminders, habits, video ideas, anything, right? And I just put it into the inbox. And then if I don't sort it the same day, it piles up. And if I leave it for like 2 or 3 days, it takes me 2 hours to just go through it. So with Vectal, I basically solved my own problem.
Yeah, I see. It's actually a very common issue, I think, for SaaS platforms that have been in the market for a very long time. They're not built AI first.
Yeah.
They were designed before this technology was available. And this is what I think gives us competitive advantage right now to develop products like yours.
I think it gives startups a huge advantage because like these companies, to do as Notion, they're not like massive corporations yet, but still they have, millions of paying customers. And that's a huge risk completely revamping the product. For Google, for Microsoft, it's even worse. So this gives an opportunity. And I'm glad you said this because I think basically every type of SaaS will be rebuilt with some AI first option.
Yeah, it's either they need to disrupt themselves and rebuild their own products, or somebody else is going to disrupt them, like yourself. And also, what I'm personally excited about is how you built your platform. You were one of the first people, at least I saw, on YouTube. Maybe there were other people, but they didn't vlog their entire journey, who created this product only using AI tools.
Yeah.
So first of all, when you were getting started, what was your experience in coding?
Yeah, so I had some coding experience, to be fair, It's not like I was a complete beginner, but it was completely random. Like I learned some C#, that was my first programming language. Then I learned some Java to make like Minecraft plugins. I didn't know anything about Next.js. I knew like the basics of Python, and I've never built a full stack web app. So literally, as you say, like it was thanks to AI tools. And in a matter of 2 months, I was able to go from choosing the idea to having a deployed product.
So how long do you think it would have taken you if you didn't use any AI tools whatsoever?
Definitely like 5 times more, like
5
probably
times, so like a year more, right?
Yeah, probably at least half a year, at least.
Crazy. And which tools did you use specifically?
So mainly Cursor with the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet, then a V0 to design the front end, and then just Claude, paid version of Claude to like consult me and help me.
Which aspects of building this application did you find the most challenging?
Well, definitely just random, ignorance that, like running into random errors that someone with experience would solve within like an hour. It takes me maybe 5 hours, right?
So like, how did you go around that?
So combination of using Claude and combination of web search like Perplexity or ChatGPT. ChatGPT improved their web search massively, but Perplexity goes deeper. So combination of these two and just getting my hands dirty, like when I really encounter some really deep and bad errors, at the end of the day, you cannot rely on the AI 100%. So you have to like understand the code yourself and go deep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are over-relying on AI.
Yeah.
They start to use those AI tools and then they completely forget to think for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people just want the AI to do everything, right? Like this is like the delusion of passive income and just not doing any work and making money. A lot of people still believe in this and they fail badly. And I think the issue is even deeper. I think it's just like people want something for nothing, right? They don't want to put in like 20 hours to learn the basics of Python. Like it's completely different if you have 0 or 20 hours of experience, right? Like even knowing something helps a lot. So I think this is, as you said, like over-reliance on AI where you want the AI to code your entire startup and you don't want to lift a finger, but that's simply not the reality right now. And even when it will be the reality, someone who is willing to learn it, is willing to get their hands dirty, will completely destroy you.
So what are your plans for the future with this product?
I just want to scale it as big as possible. I want to keep adding features, keep making it the best productive tool in the world. I don't want to build like a second Google Docs or second Notion. I want to build something completely new because, as you said, AI agents is a completely new paradigm and we don't know what the UI and UX looks like for AI agents.
Yeah, it's a lot more natural. It's definitely something where you can chat. Definitely there is a conversation involved because the agents need to adapt on feedback. So I think your UI actually makes a lot of sense, like a chat on the right or on the left and tasks on the right.
Yeah, I'll have the chat on the left probably no matter what is on the right. And then I'll add like calendar, focus mode, nodes, task list. But right now, the issue with the UI is that it's only a task list. So people don't really see the AI agents in the back end. So that's like my fault. I need to make the UI more innovative.
So in the future, like the AI agents will have more tools, like more integrations to your apps. So it won't just, like list your tasks, like it will determine like what apps it needs to use. It will
you can check your calendar, it can like, let's say you have a new video idea, it will add it to the Google Doc with video ideas, like it'll be more and more powerful.
That's pretty cool. Right. So in the end, like you won't even have to do the tasks yourself. You will just like
add
exactly. A task in it.
The goal is to have the AI agents complete the small tasks. Obviously, there's still going to be plenty of tasks that they cannot do yet. But let's say like you need to move a calendar event. Like let's say we reschedule this podcast, we need to move it to next week. Well, why would you do that yourself? Why not just type it into the chat agent, integrate it with your Google Calendar, and he'll move it yourself?
So let's switch to like original AI thoughts. Do you have any insights that you've thought about yourself during this time in AI?
Yeah, many of them. For example, one thing during the development of Vectal is that in order to go fast, you have to go slow. So let's say I want to add a new feature. I say, okay, let's add it as fast as possible. Then I write code that's way too complex. I don't understand it. And then it takes me like 3 hours to untangle it. So that's one lesson. Another lesson is, for example, when it comes to prompt engineering, it really matters what are the first tokens the model generates. So I learned this when I was actually flying from Dubai to Czech Republic. I was flying over some cities and you see the map, right? You see the map on the screen, but you don't see which country these cities are in. So I wasn't sure if I'm like Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary. So I typed in the name of the small cities or like villages basically into a local model running on my phone. And depending on the way I worded it, it either said the wrong country or the right country. So anybody can test it right now. If you get like a small model, let's say like Llama 3.28 billion, if you ask like what are the top 3 biggest cities in any country, not the USA or the big ones, but like lesser known countries, it will probably get the first one right. It will probably get the second one right, but the third one will usually be incorrect. But if you structure the prompt differently, it'll be correct.
I see. Do you think hallucinations will always be a problem?
I don't know. To be honest, I would probably need to be an OpenAI researcher to answer that. But I think in the short term, it will be. Like if you look at predictions, there's many people who predicted this, like Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis. 2 years ago, they said, in 2024, 2025, we will not be talking about hallucinations anymore. And they're completely wrong.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like with Tesla. Like at some point, the hallucinations will just be so low that it will be more reliable than humans.
I also think like most people don't even know what hallucinations are.
Yeah.
It's just predicting the next token, right? So usually it's caused by a bad prompt. If it starts generating already in a bad way, it's very hard for the current models to reverse back. Now, obviously with reasoning models, they can double check themselves. They can, think about it from different angles. But with a normal LLM, if it starts going down the wrong path, you basically screwed.
Right. What I also hate about the ChatGPT app is that it has temperature set to 0.7.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that like temperature is creativity, but it's really not. It's just like basically a randomness for the selection of the next token. So that's why sometimes it hallucinates more than it should be. Like if we, for example, are building a coding agent, we always set the temperature to 0.
Yeah, I use either 0 or 0.1, depends what type of agent I'm using or building. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I do like 1. If I have like 10 different agents and their purpose is to generate like very different answers, then yeah, I would do temperature 1. But I think 0.7 as a default is kind of crazy.
What do you think about the future LLMs? Do you think that the best LLMs will always be owned by corporations, or will open source in the end prevail?
I guess the last 6 months has shown that open source is catching up. And right now with DeepSeek V3, it even surpassed. It's kind of crazy that, OpenAI's best normal model, putting O1 aside, its best normal model that they have deployed is worse than an open source model. Yeah. Like, I think if you said that 2 years ago or even a year and a half ago, people would laugh at you. It's like, oh yeah, open source is behind 2 years plus. But now DeepSeek V3 is literally better than GPT-4o. I mean, the only better model is Claude 3.5 Sonnet.
Yeah. However, I honestly don't think that those benchmarks are very representative. Sure, I mean, the model performs a bit better on those tasks, but those tasks are not really like what you encounter in the real world.
Yeah, but they gave like 6 different benchmarks.
Yeah. All of them are still like structured tasks.
You don't think like SWE verified is a good benchmark?
Definitely not. Exactly. SWE verified is terrible. You see, it's like typically the developer who introduced the bug that solves that bug. And before that, you need to actually build the feature. So I think more importantly, you need to build really good features that don't require fixing them. And to build good features, you need to also adapt those models for specific code bases. So the models, they have to know a lot about the code base and they have to be customized for each specific code base. This is what we do in our development agency for other businesses. Like we don't just take an LLM and like put it in a random repo. We first like teach this LLM like what this repo is. Like we tell it all of the context about the company, about the repo, and then we put it in that repo. But with SWE bench, it's like the model basically just wakes up out of nowhere and then it's given a problem on like some completely random repo. So that's my problem with benchmarks.
Okay, so I don't disagree, but the big thing is that like DeepSeek V3 is priced at GPT-4o mini levels, not GPT-4o levels. So if we compare to GPT-4o mini, it will completely crush it on basically anything you give it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Pricing is also really important. I think pricing can unlock a lot of use cases, a lot more use cases. Yeah, but why we still, for example, build on top of OpenAI is because the developer experience.
Yeah.
So like the developer experience with OpenAI right now is unmatched. Not only they have like the assistance API, which is much better for building AI agents, but also their SDKs are just so convenient to work with. And I think you can achieve significantly higher performance gains if you just work like on a prompt for 20 minutes longer rather than you switch the model, you switch like your entire code base to work with a different model.
It's interesting you say that because I see the revenue breakdowns between OpenAI and Anthropic. For OpenAI, it's like 60% of the revenue is from ChatGPT and 40% from API.
Yeah.
For Anthropic, it's like 90% from API, 10% from Claude. So it seems like Anthropic is more targeting the developers and OpenAI is more going consumer.
I think Anthropic is more targeting the enterprise. So
Really?
maybe that's why.
I mean, if you look at like some of the most successful AI products, like for example, Cursor, it's mainly built, as you said yesterday, like a lot of the features don't even work on other models than Sonnet 3.5.
Yeah. For some reason, the Cursor agent, for example, doesn't work with GPT-4o.
I think they just objectively decided that this is the best coding model and just build the features around it.
So what do you think the impact of AI agents will be?
I think it will be like much broader than people realize. First of all, most people don't even know what AI agents are, but people still only imagine software-related tasks or computer-related tasks, right? Answering emails, putting something on Slack, Google Docs, Google Sheets. But AI agents will be literally everywhere. Like say you're going to a restaurant, right? By the time you leave, first of all, your AI agent will know your calendar. So it will know like, okay, this is planned, boom, restaurant for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
He will contact the restaurant. He will check like, are they using seed oils? Yes or no? Okay, note what tables are free. Okay, do the reservation. All of that, the AI agent will do for you. You arrive literally within like 2-3 minutes, you'll have your food and drinks served exactly as you want it. Perfect calories that fit your diet because the AI agent will also know in your Google Sheets, your dietary target preferences, everything. You finish your food, you leave without paying. Why? Because AI agent already paid for you. Like all of this will be reality in the next few years and people they don't have the imagination to like see, like AI agents will be everywhere. Literally any boring task, any repetitive task that can be systematized into steps will be done by AI agents.
What do you think about multi-agent systems?
I think you just can achieve even more. You can just specialize AI agents that can do like one small step. Basically, any task can be broken down into steps, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say record a podcast, you need to prepare the lighting, microphones, test the audio, this and that, topics, right? You can have AI agent hyper-specialized on one step. And the beauty of splitting AI agents is that you can do the system prompt like much longer, right?
Yeah.
If you had one AI agent doing like 10 different things, you would have to fit all of those into a system prompt, and some of these might like contradict each other or distract the agent. If you split it into 10 different agents, each of them can be like super specialized. You can give it like 10 examples of, this is a bad example, this is a good example. That alone takes like 20 lines of code, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is how my framework started. We just worked on like one client and we just added like so many different tools to this one LLM that it just started to hallucinate. And then we just decided to split into another agent and then connect that agent to the first LLM. And that significantly increased the performance, even though we didn't even know that we built a multi-agent system.
I mean, you have to think about your life as a company now.
Yeah.
There's, if you have a 1,000-person company, they don't have 1,000 random generalist employees. No, they have like sales managers, HR, this and that, like specific roles, right? And each employee knows their role well and can execute that role. And if something goes wrong in, security, like someone breaks in and steals a computer, it's the security guy's fault. You're not going to blame the programmer or the cleaner. You're going to blame whoever is responsible. And I think people need to start thinking about their life in the same way, because all of us will be the CEOs of our life with multiple different teams of agents managing different things.
Do you have any other original AI thoughts on the future of AI? Because I know that like before we talked, and I know how broad you think about the future, not just of AI agents, but like the impact of this technology. And I want to hear some of your insights.
Yeah, I think one interesting idea is like the smart get smarter. Maybe this is not original, it's from Balaji. But basically, like people watching this, for example, you're already in the top 1% of people interested in AI, right?
Yeah.
Even most people who try ChatGPT, you can go on Apple Store right now and check ChatGPT versus Claude. ChatGPT has like 100 times more reviews than Claude. Mm-hmm. So even knowing about Claude puts you like 0.1% of AI, which is crazy, right? I think the smart get smarter concept, basically, it's similar as rich get richer, right? Rich people have spare money. They put it into investments, index funds, real estate, blah, blah, blah. And that money multiplies. It's in assets, right? But poor people, they spend all their money living paycheck to paycheck, and they're buying liabilities, right? Like stuff that loses value over time. It's going to be same with smart get smarter. People who learn AI, who build AI agents for them, implement them in their company, in their lives, they're going to be able to do more and more each passing day. Like the more AI agents you implement, the more time you save. You build it once and it saves you time forever.
Yeah, I think this is already happening even with the ChatGPT memory feature. Like the more you use it, the more it knows about you. And my ChatGPT, it knows literally everything about me. And anytime like I ask it to respond an email, it actually responds it like I would do.
I think a really good tip that people should do is actually telling it what to remember.
Yeah.
Like I think at least like once a week or like twice a month, it's good to go into the memory and delete irrelevant stuff. But people should like telling it what to remember. So like remember this, for example, I live in Dubai. That's a very useful information that will probably be relevant to many chats, right? Remember this, I have a team XYZ, these are the roles. So like by telling it what to remember exactly, you can build up the long-term memory.
Yeah, you can also add it into the custom instructions. Like I, for example, said that only remember the information related to my business, because for me, like the personal stuff doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah, but sometimes people don't realize how many tokens you consume since you're born.
Yeah.
Visual tokens, audio tokens, sensory tokens. Like the reason me and you know how physics work is because when we were babies, we fell over, we dropped things, like that's why when you take Sora, it doesn't seem like it knows the physics, but a 5-year-old baby will know the physics perfectly. So there's so much context in our head that it's not even possible to verbally say. So I think using like both custom instructions obviously is crucial, and the same for like cursor. Like for example, my cursor file is like 250 lines, and that's even like pretty low. I've seen people on Twitter like 500 plus. But yeah, custom instructions, and then like whenever you're doing a task, think about like, is there any context of this that will be useful for future tasks? If so, tell ChatGPT to remember it.
Yeah, exactly. Context is the most important thing for those LLMs. Like if you just use LLM out of the box, it doesn't output anything special. Like if you just use the LLM off the shelf, whatever it is generates, it's not valuable because anyone else can generate that as well. So what I'm personally excited about in the next 2-3 years is how this technology is going to merge with other novel technologies, like for example, Neuralink or virtual reality. Crazy. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Neuralink plus AI agents, it's going to be like unlock probably like million X productivity.
Yeah.
Because like you can just walk down the street and like think, you'll know, what you need to do, what the current state of your business, where's the bottleneck. You can just think, okay, this needs to be done. Boom. You send it to like a main AI agent that's running like O3, O4, that is, expensive to run. That agent will trigger specialized smaller agents, right? Like O3 mini, whatever.
Yeah.
And literally like 5-minute walk, you can get the same amount of work as like me and you take a week or a month. It's kind of hard to even quantify like million X increase in productivity. Even like 1,000X or, 10,000X. It's so beyond comprehension that, I mean, yeah, as Elon said, Neuralink can be priced at anything because once you get it, there's not going to be any competition for people.
Like imagine a LLM inside the Neuralink, like it knows everything that you know. Like it's not just memory, like it has your memory.
I think people get scared when you say this, because they don't really understand it. I would recommend people to watch the 8-hour podcast from Lex Friedman, because if you just listen to that, you will understand how it works much better. That it's not like cannot serve you ads. That's not how it works. It can read certain parts of your brain where the electrodes are implanted. But I think the middle step is going to be like, for example, AI glasses. I'm very bullish on AI glasses from Meta. I think the next version they will release in 2025, I think that will be like a mainstream product. I think it's the next version of iPhone or like a phone.
Yeah.
Because AI glasses, you have them on all the time, especially once they're super slim and stylish. They don't even look bulky. They can hear what you hear, see what you see. It's like the perfect medium. And you will be able to have a holographic display of like, someone messaging you or your task list. It'll just be so OP. And that's like coming this year, way before Neuralink.
Yeah, the last demo they showed with Facebook AR glasses was actually really impressive.
I think that'll probably add $1 trillion to Facebook's market cap. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to be the biggest trend in 25?
We'll probably have to think about that a lot. I think one trend will be just implementing like AI first solutions and startups into everything. Like you don't need a novel idea. That's the crazy. People think like you need to, invent electricity. Like you don't need to have a novel idea to build a startup to like 10 to 20K a month. All you need is literally solve the prompt context problem for a specific group of people, right? So like if you understand some demographic really well and you know like how to basically prompt engineer the people and get the necessary context out of it, you can build like a Claude wrapper or ChatGPT wrapper, and it's already going to be much more useful for that specific target audience.
Exactly. So what you're describing, I think, is vertical AI agents, right?
Yeah, just putting AI into any product and making it like relevant to that audience. And again, you don't need to target like 1 billion people, right? You can target like a very small niche with like 5,000 people only, but if they're willing to pay $50 a month for it, that's a viable business.
Yeah, I definitely agree that vertical agents are going to be huge. Basically, what you're describing is like agents customized for a specific niche, for a specific target customer, solving a specific problem for that customer. I think those agents, they allow you to get started much faster. I have a whole another video coming up on that very soon. And they also allow you to get to very high revenue levels very fast because you can just plug them into your business like that. Like you don't have to build that agent from scratch. It was pre-trained for you. So how do you plan to leverage this opportunity?
Well, for me, I'm just going to focus on building, productivity-related AI agents inside of Vectal. So I'm going to be adding more and more features that leverage AI first, They're AI first features that help you get your work done faster. So like eventually I want to build all different, productivity mediums. Like I want to have a charts feature or like goal setting or habit tracking, like anything related to productivity. I want to have it done from Vectal. And I want to always use the best AI model in the world and have it on the paid tier. And then I'm going to be adding free tier relatively soon, which is going to be using like super cheap models like DeepSeek, where, I can still run it at a reasonable cost. But obviously, if you want the best models, there'll be the paid plan.
What would you recommend to people who are just starting out, who just found out about all of this?
So if someone is starting about AI, I would probably just play around with it. But the main advice I would give to anybody is really like block out 3-4 hours on your calendar, just sit down in a quiet room alone, pen and paper, and just take a hard look at your life, like the right direction you're going into, the path, and try to understand like, are the things I'm doing even matter in a year, in 2 years? Like many people my age especially are in a college degree that will not even exist in 4 years.
Yeah.
So when they graduate, that job will not even exist. And so it's much better to have like a bit of discomfort right now than a huge amount of discomfort in 2, 3, 4 years when the reality hits. So I think the most valuable thing is not necessarily, subscribing to ChatGPT, buying my SaaS, your SaaS. The most valuable thing is like taking a hard look at their life and where is your time going? Are you focusing on AI? Are you doing the things that matter? Actually, this is one of the original ideas that I have. The term uneducated should not be applied to people that don't go to college. It should be applied to people who are not paying attention to the world-changing technologies. It's like people who are not thinking about AI, about Neuralink, about Bitcoin. Like these are things that are changing the world, and many people are just turning a blind eye because they think like, oh, it's just a passing fad.
Yeah, and it's honestly like not that hard to learn. Like AI itself, like it's becoming so productized. Like all you need to do is just like show a little bit of initiative and you can instantly automate so many tasks. So where would you recommend those people to get started?
I think right now probably ChatGPT is the best value. The $20 a month plan allows you to use O1. The limit is quite low, but you can use O1, O1 mini, you can use web search. Obviously they have DALL-E, they have so many different features, right? So that's the first thing I would buy, ChatGPT Plus. Pro is the 200. I don't think it's 200 is worth for most people. But yeah, buy ChatGPT Plus and just set it as your home screen, as your default page, okay? Stop using Google and just start using that for everything. And really, you have to reprogram your brain because sometimes like a lot of people still ask a human, right?
Yeah.
Or they still use Google, but you need to use this and you need to fill out your custom instructions. You should be adding to your custom instructions every day. Like I update my cursor rules like 5 times a day at least.
Nice. I really like the web search feature in ChatGPT. I honestly
It's
just
insanely fast.
completely stopped using
I would want to see the back end of that because like...
Yeah, I think they vectorized the entire internet, to be honest. It's like, it's too fast. Like they can't search so
But
fast.
they're using like a super small model to first format your prompt in different queries.
Yeah, so where would you recommend people to learn all about that?
I mean, they can obviously watch YouTube videos, your YouTube videos, my YouTube videos. Like I see a really interesting tweet. They can use ChatGPT to learn new stuff. And it sounds obvious, but I think that's one of the best use cases, learning new things with AI. It's honestly like probably 3 times faster than without AI. Like even if I wanted to learn a new language, I would use ChatGPT voice mode every day until I hit the limit.
Yeah.
If you want to learn a new programming language, if you want to learn anything, using Claude, ChatGPT Perplexity, it will allow you to learn faster than ever before. Simple example, right? If you, let's say you were sitting across a tutor, a math tutor, right? Mm-hmm. You don't understand something, you ask him. You don't understand it again, you ask him again. But are you really going to ask him for the third time, fourth time? No, because they're embarrassed. There's social dynamics in place. That is not the case with AI. You can ask your AI assistant 100 times, explain it like I'm 5, explain it in simple words, use an analogy.
Yeah,
this is a story.
Customized.
Yeah, it's customized to you and it knows, as you said, like it has your customized actions, knows about you, and you can ask it infinitely and you can have it like super specialized, much faster at any hour at 4 a.m. You're not going to call your tutor at 4 a.m.,
Yeah, that's a really good advice. This is exactly what I do anytime I try to learn something new. I still go to YouTube, but what I do first now is I create a custom GPT. So I take all of the books that I find on that topic, all of the YouTube videos, I put them into files and I just upload them to custom GPT, and then I add my own prompt. And it literally gives you the most relevant answer you can get from all of those resources combined.
Yeah, I think like reading books, I mean, this is going to be very controversial, but I think reading books will become obsolete in like a year. Because imagine if you had your personal AI agent running O3 that has 5 million tokens of context about you. Your childhood, your preferences, what books you liked, what you didn't like, how your team is structured, what you're thinking about. It has everything about you. And then you'd say, okay, this book is interesting. Someone recommended it to me. It's 300 pages, right? I'm a slow reader. It would take me many days to read. You just feed it into that prompt. And within a minute, it tells you the 4 snippets that would be hyper relevant to you, interesting to you, that even if you read the book yourself, you would remember at the end. So it will save you all that time reading the book and like forgetting 95% of it. Most books are like that. and it will just give you the 4 super relevant snippets that you need.
This could happen, but I do still recommend people to read books though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think like I get my best ideas when I just sit down and read for like 15 minutes. And I honestly believe that ideas moving forward are going to be the most valuable thing because the implementation will be handled by AI.
Yeah, 2 topics I want to touch on, how idea guys, will dominate. But one thing that you kind of hinted on, or at least it reminded me, is that this is dangerous thinking for a lot of people that think like, oh, AGI is coming within a year, I'm not going to do anything. I see this so many times, and even from like super smart people, and it's so disgusting. I hate that mindset. It's such a weak mindset,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not going to build this project, I'm not going to start this business. AGI will do that in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Are you just going to sit around? Like, as you said, like, you should still read books. Yes, you should still read books. You should still do all this stuff. You should not waste your time just waiting for AGI like a dumbass. You will have a huge advantage if you start now and if you like know how to prompt these tools, how to use these tools, how not to use these tools. It's like night and day,
I think also one thing that AI will be missing for a very long time, not just 2-3 years, but probably much longer, is agency, is the initiative. Like I just can't imagine, like I've been trying to do this for so long and I just can't imagine an AI system that will just run completely by itself. Like you will always have to at least provide like some initial information, like initial prompt, at least like what you want to do, at least like one sentence on your goal. Otherwise, like how else are we going to trigger those systems?
Yeah, so as you said, idea people or like ambitious people will be the ones in the future. It's not going to be the programmer that has memorized the context for 12 different programming languages, the syntax, right? For 12 different programming languages, but has like no ambition. A lot of people are like that from school because they are conditioned to just memorize. But memorization is useless right now. These AI tools know all of internet and they're becoming more and more smarter. So I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be the idea guys. It's going to be people that execute and give it like the initial instruction. And I think the future of the next 5 years is actually human plus AI agents. It's not just human because for obvious reasons you'll be obsolete, but it's not just AI agents because they will not have that taste, that intuition.
Yeah.
The Rick Rubin analogy, who is the famous producer for like Eminem and tons of other artists, who doesn't play any instruments. He doesn't even know like tunes. He doesn't know like any octaves. He knows nothing about music. He has just good taste. And it's going to be the same for people with AI. That's why you need to use ChatGPT or Claude for multiple hours a day, because you need to develop the taste for how these models work and what to ask them, what not to ask them, what to include in your prompt, right? The same model, it'll be a guy who finds it insanely useful and a guy who finds it mediocre. Why? Because this guy knows what to put into context and what to not put into context that would distract the model. And this guy just puts random gibberish or makes it too vague and the model underperforms. So I think the next 5 years is actually going to be figuring out humans plus AI agents, what they're good at and what they're bad at. And I think both of us can understand that. And our SaaS startups are doing that for different angles. But it's going to be humans plus agents will defeat, one or the other.
Yeah, so it's basically augmenting yourself with AI as much as possible.
Like don't try to do what the AI is good at, right? Like the AI can look through 300,000 tokens in a few seconds. You cannot do that. But you can think of like a completely novel idea while the AI cannot do that.
So I also believe that, those idea people who take initiative, they will have more power than ever before. You will be able to build a business completely from scratch without doing all of those sacrifices that maybe you had to do before.
Yeah, it's the best time to start a company. It's the best time to do anything. Like software is getting easier and easier to build. Now, if you still want to build like something super, like a kernel or a compiler, it's not possible with just AI. But like if you want to build a simple web app, you can type into bold 2-sentence prompt and you will see it like within 30 seconds, right? So I think people don't realize that all of us within 2 years will have like custom software for basically anything. And it has never been easier to start a business. So, I mean, if someone watching this is like considering, should I start my own startup? Should I start a business? Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose you're going to be vlogging your entire journey with Vectal AI. I'm excited to see how far you can take it.
Yeah.
Just with AI agents.
I think I'm actually like probably, as you said, one of the first people of this like new way of developing,
Yeah, you're definitely the first one I've seen who's actually putting this on the internet.
Yeah, and also I'm documenting like all the updates in my community. Literally.
Yeah, so imagine it grows into like 1 billion product.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would pay like crazy money to see like Elon start, PayPal from scratch or Pavel Durov start Telegram from scratch. Like, how much would you pay to see that? That would be crazy. Like day 1, day 2, I ran into this issue, I'm tired. Like that would be so like amazing.
Yeah, what I love about your channel is that you also vlog all of the errors and mistakes. Yeah. You don't just cut them out, you show how you actually solve them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part of building a startup. People think it's like smooth sailing. Every day you add a new feature. sometimes you spend 5 days on a single error, And I think people really need to completely get the idea of quitting outside of their head. Because for me, like, even from like, since I started entrepreneurship, it was never like, oh, if this doesn't work, I'm going to get a job. Like, that's such a bad mindset. You're putting the plan B into your head.
Right. Well, thank you so much for all of these insights, David. For everyone who wants to see David's journey building Vectal AI, make sure to follow him on YouTube. And also for the second part of this podcast, make sure to head out to my channel.
Oh, my channel. This is on your channel.
Right. Make sure, you're right. So make sure to watch the second part of this podcast on David Ondrej's channel. Thank you, David.
Thank you.